coming up from the Northeast Live Studios in Guwahati, Northeast Tonight with Wasbir Hussain.
Hello and welcome to Northeast Tonight, the show that decodes the region. We begin the show tonight by expressing our condolences to the shocking news from Meghalaya, the demise of master conductor Neil Nongkinri. The star pianist, who was the founder of the Shillong Chamber Choir, is no more. He breathed his last this evening at a hospital in Mumbai, where he was there for several weeks now undergoing treatment. The news has shocked not just Meghalaya or the Northeast, the country as a whole, and of course his fans and well-wishers around the world. I have with me on the show tonight where we are going to discuss whether Northeast is going to be Congress Mukt. But before I come to the topic, I have two esteemed panelists from Meghalaya on the show tonight. Dr. W.R. Kharlukhi, the state president of the NPP, and the Congress legislature party leader, Ms. Ampareen Lyngdoh. First, I'd like to go to Dr. Kharlukhi and take your comments on the sudden demise, the sad news this beginning of the new year, that Neil Nongkinri is no more with us. What are your thoughts this evening?
Well, it's saddened to hear the demise of Neil Nongkinri, who had contributed so much to music. And well, my condolence goes to his family.
Not that idiot. I'm talking about the audio. All right, Dr. Kharlukhi, it is a very sad indeed. May I turn to Ms. Ampareen Lyngdoh. Ms. Ampareen, your thoughts on the sudden demise of Neil Nongkinri?
I am very saddened and shocked at this point of time. Very unbelievable, very young, a very talented individual. I am surprised because I wasn't aware that he was ailing.
God.
We will miss Neil very much. We will miss his beautiful concert. And at this point of grief and disbelief, difficult to digest this information, I send my deepest condolences to family members of Neil, send condolences to his team, his Shillong Chamber Choir team particularly. And we just have beautiful memories of Neil, beautiful memories of the kind of joy that he gave all of us every time we either attended his shows in person or watched them on television.
Absolutely, absolutely. All the panelists with me join in mourning the demise of Neil Nongkinri. Let's come to today's topic, Congress Mukt Northeast, whether it is a reality or whether it is really going to happen. Now the big question is Congress Mukt Northeast going to become a reality or is it unlikely? The question has arisen because in the past few months we have seen the bulk of the Congress legislators in Meghalaya desert the party and join the Trinamool Congress. From 17, the Congress strength in the 60-member Meghalaya Assembly has come down to just 5. The story has been the same in Manipur. In the 2017 Assembly polls, the Congress emerged the largest single party with 28 MLAs, but failed to form the government. Now, the Congress tally in the state stands at around 13 because 15 of them have since joined the BJP. The last Congress MLA in Manipur to have joined the BJP was last month when Chief Minister N. Biren Sikh's son-in-law R.K. Imo and Y. Haokip switched sides. Besides MLAs, about half a dozen senior Congress leaders have left the party and joined the BJP in Manipur. Similarly, in Assam, Two Congress MLAs have quit the party after winning the 2021 elections, joined the BJP, contested by polls, and have returned as BJP legislators. The question that comes to most people's mind is this: are the Congress leaders deserting the party in favor of the BJP because they see no future in the Congress? To answer this question and more, I am joined from Imphal by Manipur Congress Working President I. Hemochandra Singh. From Shillong, I am joined by Meghalaya Congress Legislature Party Leader Amparin Lingdo. I also have with me Meghalaya NPP President and Rajya Sabha MP Dr. W.R. Kharluki. At the studios with me in Guwahati, I have senior Assam BJP leader Swapnanil Barua, former MP Kirip Chaliha, and well-known commentator Mayur Bora, and joining me also from Guwahati is Assam Congress spokesman Nitra Ranjan Chaudhary. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Northeast Tonight. Now, big question is, Mr. I. Hemachandra in Imphal. Mr. Hemachandra, only yesterday, yet another Congress MLA have quit the party. Already, you had 28 members in 2017 when you contested the elections. After that, now you have just about 13 of them, maybe less than that, after yesterday's MLA who have quit the party. What's going on? Has your party colleagues lost hope in the Congress party?
Wasbir, at the very outset, thanks for having me again on your show. And of course, we started on a very sad note also, condoling Neil's passing away, which is a great loss to all of us and the music world from the Northeast in particular. And of course, very happy new year to all the co-panelists and all the viewers.
Thank you.
Well, of course, the fire is, I think the gun is pointed at me to begin with, because Manipur is in the hot seat now and we are also going to the polls. I'll put it this way, Wasbir, the whole, to begin with, the whole concept of, I think the phrase which you have used, this Congress Mukt Bharat or Congress Mukt Northeast, is something with which I have a problem. I personally have a problem with this phraseology, the whole concept of this mukt or lupt, or this concept of this very thought process has very undemocratic overtones, fascist tones, and I think particularly so in the case of our Northeast, where our society is a very pluralistic, very democratic society. Perhaps it's a microcosm of India itself. It's a mini India. And I think we are setting, very dangerous trends for democracy.
No, you are not answering my questions, Hemachandra ji.
No, I'm coming to your answer. But the whole phrase that mukt, I think you are using the BJP phraseology yourself. So that is what I was trying to anyway. Not to lose further, time. I think. Yes, definitely. The fact remains that a lot of our, Congress MLAs have left, and probably it's election time. There's a very aggressive poaching, culture which I think the BJP has initiated over the years, and I think yes, definitely. It is a cause of concern, definitely. But I think these things are always happening. In politics, Manipur is not an exception. Northeast is not an exception. I think, and I'm sure. I think this is, to my mind, an aberration in some ways, because I think it is more to do with personal ambitions. It's more to do with opportunism.
Okay, fine. I'll come back to you, Mr. Hemachandra. Let me once again ask the same question to Ms. Amparin Lingdo, veteran Congress leader from Meghalaya, now the Congress Legislature Party leader. Now, the very fact that you have been in the hot seat, you have been suddenly put in the hot seat as the Congress Legislature Party leader, Ms. Amparin Lingdo, is because Dr. Mukul Sangma has deserted your party. Your party from 17, your strength has come down to 5. Suddenly, Trinamool Congress has become the major opposition party in Meghalaya. Now, my question is this. I have not got a clear answer from Mr. Hemachandra Singh. My question is very simple. Can we understand, can we take it that many of your party leaders have lost faith in your party's future? They don't see much of a hope in the party's future, and that is the reason why they are looking elsewhere.
That is very untrue. That is the perception probably that the BJP is trying to create for the rest of India. We have no heartburn with the exit of our former colleagues from our party. And believe it or not, you can't shoo away the Congress. We remain the grand old party and envious of many other parties. Very fact remaining that everybody is talking about the Congress. So to me, I look at it positively. We are going towards election in 2023. Uh, don't be surprised if we do well. Why is this happening? The poaching is very real, not just in mainland India, but it is also there in the northeast region as well. There is a tremendous pressure for everybody to join the winning bandwagon. There is a sense of insecurity because we are feeling this sudden shake that is threatening our survival. We do not want to ignore that. We are working towards preparing ourselves, preparing the party in the state,
Okay.
and don't just give up on us as yet.
Don't just give up.
Many
Right.
parties
let me-
will feel that
Right.
it's the end of Congress. In fact, I
Let-
don't even want to use that term that you've used. I don't know what you say in the.
Right. Let
But
me.
you don't shoo us away just like that.
Right. Working hard to come back, that is what Ms. Ampreen Lingdo is saying. Let me turn to Dr. Kharluki, Rajya Sabha MP and Meghalaya State President of the NPP. Dr. Kharluki, what is the impression you get? You are also a veteran political leader. Question is, a lot of people say that you desert a party, this is become a trend, whether it is Assam, whether it is Manipur, whether it is Meghalaya, whether it is elsewhere in the country, you desert a party because then that gives a sense that the people have lost faith, the people have lost faith in the party's ability to stage a comeback, and they feel that the future is insecure as a politician, and that is why they have gone to greener pastures. That is the impression. Why do you think so many people are leaving the Congress party? I know it is their internal affair, but that suits you, isn't it?
You see, Wasbir, people never lost faith in democracy. And for a democracy to function, parties should be there. And you know, this saying of the people losing faith, it only comes from the mouth of politicians, not from the people. Because there are two types of politician, politician with principle and politician without principle. For me, I have been years in the opposition with my party. And you know, this Mukt Congress in Northeast is nothing but a political propaganda of the BJP to catch the imagination of the people. There is no such thing as Mukt in politics. I'll just remind you, in 2013, we won only 2 MLAs. And one of the Congress leader went to the extent of saying that he will see our extinction. But in 2018, we won, we are the largest single party and we formed the government in Meghalaya. So these things are not there. It is only for political propaganda only.
So, what am I to understand from what you said, Dr. Kharluki? The BJP thinks that a weak Congress is beneficial to the party. For the NPP, you don't seem to bother much.
No. For me, I never take my opponent as weak. Because once you take your opponent as weak, then the danger lies. Arrogance start to creep in. And the result was losing in the next election. That's why I cite an example that in 2013, we won only 2 seats in Meghalaya, and one of the Congress leader went to the extent of saying that he'll see our extinction. But in the process, what happened? You know, arrogant creep in and they did not work, and we won and formed the government.
Right. Mr. Kripchalia, you have been or you are with the Congress, that's a bit of a mystery. But you have been with the Congress party for a very long time. You have been the party MP from the prestigious Guwahati seat. What in your assessment, why are so many Congress leaders leaving the party? It has become a trend. And why has the AICC not been able to prevent the Congress leaders from deserting the party?
You see, in the context of Northeast, when you look into the, you can call desertions or defections or change of sides by Congress leaders, I think it is more because of internal dynamics of the Congress party in the states than anything to do with ideology or the political alignments in the national level. Of course, the national politics does give a leeway for some people to come back into political power. But see, when, for example, Himanta Biswa Sharma and his group joined the BJP in Assam, which was a very milestone in the state's politics, as it is obvious now. At that time, it was Congress which was in power, if I remember correctly. I mean, I may be wrong. Similarly, you know, now Mukul's group, which has joined TMC. TMC is not a ruling party. It is still a ruling party in the state.
But still they left the Congress.
But they are leaving the Congress. Now, that is because of basically there are inner contradictions in the party. I would say the same thing about that happened, what has happened in Nagaland. Long before the advent of BJP, the Congress was getting diminished there. Same is the, you can't say the same thing about Arunachal, but Tripura also, there has been a slow transition from one side to another. Now, if you ask me why this is taking place, I would say yes, I think the national leadership has not been able to cement the diverse viewpoints or diverse groups or diverse alignments that exist, especially in a place like Northeast. Northeast, going to BJP was something unthinkable at one point of time. And Northeast in northeastern states where Christian majority states, it is not BJP, but you know there are regional forces which are aligning with BJP.
Right.
Now, this is also a different kind of strategy. Mm-hmm. Now, I would not like to be critical to my old party, but I must say that there is definitely something wrong in the management of the party, both Absolutely. At the national level as well as at the state level.
That is the operative part of what Mr. Kripchalia is saying. He said that the national leadership of the party has not been able to cement diverse viewpoints in the Northeast. That's why people are leaving, and something is not wrong, something is not right as far as management by the Congress party is concerned. Before I come to Mr. Swapnanil Barua and Netraranjan Chaudhary, the Assam Congress spokesman, I want to take a non-political view. Mayur Bora, well-known commentator. Mayur Bora, how do you look at this? Because this is a trend. There seems to be no end. Because there is no reverse joining into the Congress that is happening largely. I'm talking about large scale. One or two people may have joined here and there, but that is not the case as far as desertion is concerned. That has almost become a trend. Why do you think it is so, and why do you think the Congress leadership has not been able to put a halt to these desertions?
See, largely there are two issues. One is the problem with a centrist party, Congress being a centrist party with the so-called left of center bias. When these parties are out of power, not only in India, in other parts of the world also, it becomes difficult for their members to stick to their much-sworn ideology. That we have seen in many places, but now it has become very blatant and flagrant in the last 4 or 5 years. Secondly, and more importantly, in the real politics of today's time, you see there is lack of imagination of the Congress party at the very top level. There is lack of energy. We see everything is linked to 10 Janpath, whereas 10 Janpath also we have seen some time back when Kapil Sibal tried to give a press conference, what kind of psychophancy we still see in the party, despite knowing fully well that 10 Janpath has failed to capture the imagination of the people. But now I can understand, while saying this, let me also tell it very clearly, I can understand the unenviable position of Mr. Hemchandra, Amparin and Kirip Choliha, but even then I will say the culture of poaching indulged in by any party needs to be decried and condemned and denounced. But at the same time, my question to Mr. Hemchandra also, why your people are vulnerable to poaching? They will say it has been continuing for quite some time. Okay, fine, I accept that. But the pace at which it has been increasing in the last 3-4 years, it shows opportunism in Congress has reached an astounding level.
Let Hemachandra answer this. Mr. Hemachandra Singh, answer panelist Mayur Bara's question. Why?
Yeah, definitely. Of course, what CRIP has reflected on the larger issue on the national, the AICC level and all that, I will not come to that. I will be Manipur centric and Manipur specific. I think it is just not, the poaching is not happening with just with the Congress people. The poaching is happening with NPP also. Wasbir, you will know that one NPP minister recently also joined the BJP. It is not about people joining in. It is not about, these things happen in politics. These things happen because of personal reasons. These things happen because of various reasons, and this is something which is always happening in our democratic polity. But the flagrant, excessive, the way it has been done, the way it has been implemented, the way it has been executed by the BJP is a cause of concern. Well, yes, definitely. I think as I have said, it is very, very distressing, and it is very, very, very heartbreaking when stalwarts, I mean, like the former, the former chief minister's son, who was a Congress stalwart, his grandfather was a congressman. They leave the party. Definitely, it leaves a bad taste, and it hurts us a lot. But that doesn't go on to undermine the larger, personal interest, the larger, game plan of the BJP, where money, power, and all kinds of hook and crook methods are used. So I think that is the cause of worry.
Right.
That is what I was trying to say.
Congress also
and it is not akin to only Manipur. It is happening everywhere.
I consistently denounce the practice adopted by other parties also, as well as by the president. I don't mince any words, but what I am trying to say, you
cannot singularly attack us.
Now BJP might have perfected, and I am saying I denounce that, and I am saying that vulnerability shown by Congress leaders in different parts of the country is really alarming and astounding. It undermines the democratic ethos also. While we denounce the ruling party, we should denounce our members who motivated only by sheer opportunism.
Definitely,
that's what my point
Mr.
is.
Dasgupta, I have said it in very clear terms that these are very, very personal, things, and they are guided by purely personal ambitions, which probably undermines a lot of political principles. And as the NPP president rightly said, they were two. They were two in the assembly, and they had been written off at some point of time. And with the BJP also, BJP was at some point of time in the parliament just two. So I think look at the trend. I'm talking about the principle in which either it is the Congress, whether it is the BJP.
Trend is alarming.
This trend is very disturbing.
Trend is disturbing. It has become a wholesale exit or exodus of the Congress from every state. It's not confined to just one state. That is the bigger question. I'll come to that. Let me talk to Sapnalil Barua. Sapnalil Barua.
It's the Congress now. It's the Congress now, but then after the Congress, what? It's going to be poaching all the way. Then it will be NPP.
Is it just poaching? Sapnalil Barua, senior BJP leader from Assam, veteran administrator for 30-40 years, now a senior leader of the BJP in Assam. Sapnalil Barua, Hemachandra says that it is money, power, and poaching. The art of poaching has been perfected by the BJP. The Congress started the art of poaching, perfected by your party. That is the charge. That is basically what Mayur Bara and Hemachandra Singh are saying.
No, I think it's a question of grapes are sour. There is no question of any poaching. People have been attracted by the performance of the party in the Northeast because, one thing we have been able to achieve is a cultural change in the whole political scenario. All these people who are coming, more than they willing to come back to change parties from Congress to BJP, it has been the constituents who have pressurized these people that, look, if you stay in this party, which is not acceptable to us anymore longer, we had voted you, it's a separate issue, but now I think in the interest of the development of the constituency, you have to change and come into the ruling party, that is BJP. Now we have been able to do a cultural change of, being a ruling, a politics of being in the ruling party to being in a serving party. As you have seen that BJP maintains a strict vigil on the performance of every constituents, especially the public representatives, and there have been instances where the chief minister has been changed quite so often. Yadurappa has gone in Karnataka. We have seen frequent changes. See, this kind of a performance and watching of the, keeping a tab on how the people are working, whether the interests of the constituents have been protected well enough, has brought about a cultural change, which in turn has affected the constituents to pressurize the existing MLAs or prospective MLAs from other parties.
Also, same example.
Okay, now let me turn to Assam Congress spokesman Netra Ranjan Chaudhary. Netra Ranjan Chaudhary, your party in charge from the Northeast are saying that our doors are open for anybody who wants to walk out of my party. Whereas the BJP says our doors are open for anybody who believes in our ideology and comes and joins us. So what a heaven and hell difference between the approach, and that seems to have yielded results. After that, two of your party MLAs who won the 2021 elections on a Congress ticket, they quit. They contested the by-elections on a BJP ticket.
And won in a better margin.
Today they are BJP MLAs. And there are two other MLAs who are likely to quit and join some other parties. So what's going on?
Well, definitely. I mean, many of our already distinguished panelists has already responded to these things, and thanks for raising these pertinent issues, because these type of questions are often coming up. If what is the future of Congress? Is Congress Mukt Bharat or Northeast is going to be a reality? Let me tell you in 2 words: it's just a pipe dream. It's a pipe dream. If somebody is thinking that it's going to be a Congress Mukt Bharat, but yes, definitely they want to be a Congress Mukt Bharat because they don't want opposition to question them on landscape. They don't want to question them on employment issues. They also know that Congress party is the only viable opposition who can raise the pertinent issues. That's why instead of doing the Raj Dharma day in and day out, they are only focusing on only one thing: how to break this Congress party, but anyway, how to bring the legislature to their thing. So this is a very new development, new sorts of aggressions, and yes, many distinguished panelists are saying this is a new way of aggressions and poachings which is happening. Yes, when somebody leaves our family, be it a political party, it definitely hurts. It affects us. There is no denying about it. But also see, who are they? They were groomed by this party only. They developed and they progressed into their political career from this party.
Right.
You see, my only question to Mr. Chaudhary is, Mr. Chaudhary, my only question, I think you are quite helpless. What you have been telling as if a virus is mutating into a new dangerous avatar and that you have not been able to withstand. I think that sort of thing, if the grand old party spokesperson says in a television debate that we have not been able to withstand this sort
it's
of
not like that. See,
or
if you see
poaching,
that,
then I
if you see
think
the
it
history
reflects
wise,
very poorly about the party, about ethos and other democratic principles that you have been talking about for
what happened
quite
to the
some time.
Arunachal Pradesh when Gegong Apang and entire cabinet, they just leave the Congress, but still we are there. If you see, this type
You
of
are there with
traditions
just
and
one
then,
MLA.
nothing is permanent in politics.
No, with
No,
this
not the
kind
point
of
is-
argument that we are there,
And
you are an
when-
old party
no.
will be there, but we do not want, see, I am not a supporter of Congress party, but I want the democracy to be strengthened. That's why I want a viable alternative in terms of...
No, let me take the question of a
Taking power to
viable.
the-
Let me take the question of a viable alternative to Amparin Lingdo. Miss Amparin Lingdo, the Congress has lost the status of the opposition party in Meghalaya to the Trinamool Congress overnight. Now the question is, same is the case in Tripura. Tripura, the Congress is nowhere in the picture. That it is the Trinamool which suddenly emerged on the scene and trying to become the main opposition party in Tripura, and they have succeeded to a large extent. Now, I mean, like, what's going on? Now you have not only lost the space to the BJP, which is the ruling party, you have also lost the space to other parties who are trying to emerge as the opposition parties.
What is going on is the $1 million question. Uh, there is a lot of confusion happening in the state of India at this moment. And yes, there have been pulls from within the Congress as well. There is always this one seat of power which was dominating, one voice which was dominating. And when there was a rearrangement of leadership in the party, that was not acceptable to certain people who had left the party. So I'm not going to say that it's just the BJP that seems to be a vibrant option for the country. There are also parties like the TMC who are trying to make inroads into the state of Meghalaya. Why that happened, I have explained to you in a very, in a nutshell.
Right.
But let me tell you one thing. In politics, these kinds of upheavals have never been experienced by me, though I'm going into my 5th election. It is quite disheartening, it is quite shocking, it is very upsetting. But the point remains that we will still try to appeal to the people of the state. That if you're looking at that vibrant democracy, which somebody in the panel just mentioned, the Congress should remain there as well.
True.
Now, how can the Congress remain there as well? We are working on equations. We are trying to appeal to central leadership to attend to some of the very important aspects of
Absolutely. Miss Ampreen,
we are trying our best now to show the public that despite this,
I'll have to go for it. I have to cut you. Sorry, Ampreen. Right. Your point well taken.
Still try.
Your point well taken. You are still trying. Your point well taken. Your point well taken, Ampreen. We'll reduce our volume. Your point well taken. Let me quickly go to Hemachandra, and then I'll have to go for a very quick break. Mr. Hemachandra, very briefly, please.
Well, Wasbir, we are totally on fire. I mean, like, you're firing us left and right too at the same time. But I'll add on to what Ampreen is saying and see, Wasbir, in short, I think the Congress still remains as a strong force in the Northeast. And I'm sure the people and the leaders inherently trust the Congress because of its values of respecting the diversity and cultural values of the Northeast. And what you see is an aberration, as I'm repeating here at the point of repetition, because of an overpowering central government in Delhi and a few over-ambitious, leaders in the Northeast, and nothing more than that. And I'm sure you will see a massive
Hemachandra Singh, in 2024. They are trying to put the blame for the exodus in his party entirely to an aggressive BJP, which may or may not be the case.
Not just the BJP. I said our leaders also, over-ambitious leaders, as I said.
I'll go for a short break. When I come back, I'll go to Dr. Karluki and try to know a different perspective on the situation. Don't go, I'll be right back. Welcome back. Let me go straight to Dr. Karluki. Dr. Karluki, you are among the NPP's think tank. You are the state president of the NPP, but overall, you are a close member of the NPP think tank. My big question to you, NPP is also an ambitious party. The way your party president is campaigning in Manipur, where you are already a ruling party, you are already part of the ruling coalition, But you are contesting in 40-50 seats against the BJP in Manipur. That means you are a party with a high ambitions. Now question is, when the Congress is in a state of disarray, aren't you happy about that? Or do you think a strong Congress will going to help the NPP? Because your opening remarks made me ask you this question.
Well, we always welcome any party. It's not only a strong Congress. In my state, I would like to have a strong BJP. You see, when we have a strong opposition, that is a vibrant democracy. You see, when I opened my speech about saying about Northeast, I said it's a political propaganda, because in politics it's always political propaganda. If you remember, when Mrs. Indira Gandhi was at the helm of power, she spoke about Garibi Hatao. And I think practically today, Garibi Hatao is still a long way. So you see, politics is this, Wasbir. Let us look at the national level. Today, suppose if BJP loses UP, what will be the assessment of the coming 2024 election? So this is politics. Like what I told you, in 2013 we won only 2, but in 2018 we are in power. So this is politics, the dynamic of politics.
No, I'm tempted to ask this question to Krip Chalia. Krip Chalia, we're talking about the Congress, we are talking about the BJP, we are talking about the Congress only because the BJP came up with that slogan in 2014, immediately after they won that they want a Congress Mukt Bharat. And then it became a Congress Mukt Northeast, that was the slogan. And it has turned into a reality because not a single Congress government is in power in the Northeast. Northeast was a Congress bastion. Despite what Mr. Hemachandra is saying, despite what Miss Amparin Lingdo is saying, the fact remains that the Congress is nowhere in the scene in the Northeast, at least now. Hemachandra Singh is contesting the elections in a couple of months. What happens at the election? The voters are the king. We'll wait for the results. Same is the case with Meghalaya. 1 year down the line, Meghalaya is also going to the polls. My question is, do you think there is some third force which is emerging in the country? And do you think that it is the Trinamool Congress which is taking a lead as far as the third force is concerned today?
See, I'll be very rational in this whole analysis. Let me tell you that in politics you can't write political obituaries on political parties. Various political parties at one point appear to be very weak, including BJP or Congress, and they make a comeback. But then I can't ignore the fact that managing political contradictions within a party is the most major expertise one must have if a political party has to go on expanding. And that has been the one of the main reasons for parties like Congress, even the communist parties, and for that matter BJP. There is always groups and all, but you have to accommodate, you have to know where to go, how to do that. I think Congress has been failing in this respect for quite some time now. In fact, even now, as I think Mayur Master or somebody, one of the panelists have said, that even at the top, in the national level, the Congress doesn't have an unified space even now, doesn't appear to be an unified party. This is creating problems. Now, I am not writing off anybody, but let me tell you that emergence of Mamata Banerjee, and especially in Northeast, and I would say even in the All India context, you see that could be a bigger setback, that could cause a bigger setback to the Congress party than BJP. And many may not accept now, but at least in the Northeast I can tell you, the TMC is also a Congress party. Mamata was a Congress rebel. She was expelled from the Congress party, and the people who expelled him, they joined Trinamool Congress and became MPs and MLAs. That kind of trend, I am not blaming anybody. I can see Hemachandra getting executed, but I am saying this is a possibility. And let me tell you, Mamata Banerjee is now being considered all over the country as one of the possible challengers to the
All right.
I am also tempted to ask Kirit Solia, because initially when you started, you said that there is a mystery about in the minds of the people about what Kirit Solia does. Now my question is directly to Mr. Netraranjan Chaudhary and Hemchandra also. We have just listened to Kirit Solia and the way he has been criticizing Congress also in a very, very subtle way. So are we listening to someone who is sitting on the fence in the Congress party, who is likely to defect
I am no
on
longer in the
TLC?
Congress party. No longer in the Congress party.
You are no longer.
He
You
is
are
no
no longer.
longer.
So you are not sitting on the fence, but are you going to change sides? That's what I heard or I felt after listening to you. Of course, I respect your decision. I respect your decision as an adult.
I'm not getting personal.
He
I'm
is
analyzing
analyzing.
the facts as political graph is going ahead. I think that if Congress fails, definitely another democratic alternative has to emerge.
Yeah, that's
And
a fair
that
point.
vacuum, new democratic.
That's what Kirit Solia is basically saying, that if the Congress fails, the
Opposition phase has to come.
vacuum is going to fill up,
There
going to
can't
be
be a
filled up by
vacuum. There can't be a
somebody,
vacuum.
and that somebody, according to him, could well be the Trinamool
Yes, it
Congress.
could be.
Yes, Hemachandra, you want to say something? Yes, Mr. Hemachandra Singh.
Wasbir, I have known Kripji for a very long time. He has every right to have his opinion, and that probably could be his personal opinion. But of course, having seen him as a very senior Congress leader, I beg to probably at this point in time have my own difference of opinion with him. Probably this is not a forum where probably we could the issue was about Mukt, Congress Mukt Northeast. The issue was not, I think, to discuss internal Congress politics as Krip has put it. So let us put it aside. That is, he has a right to to his views. But what I was trying to say, I would probably pick up from Mr. Karluki's point, because that is what I also endorse at the same time. See, in politics, people come and go. People will come, these troughs will be there, highs and lows will be there.
No, but
BJP was two at one point of time, they have come into power. Congress was at some point of time, 40 plus in Manipur. It is in a probably numerically in a bad state. But see, Wasbir, 1 minute. See, it has to be very organic. It has to be organic. It cannot be statistics versus organic. What is happening is that the whole fabric of democracy, the whole fabric of demolishing an opposition, it could be Congress Mukt today, it could be NPP Mukt today. So I'm picking up from what Mr. Karluki said, is that a vibrant opposition is a good concept.
Right.
It's
But
agreed. I don't deny the fact that we are not in a very commanding position. We are not in a commanding position, Wasbir.
Let me ask you, Hemachandra Singh.
Yes.
Let me ask you. Yesterday, during that rally by the Prime Minister in Imphal, in that Imphal rally, now he never once took the name of the Congress party. So, a lot of people are interpreting it as a fact that for the BJP, the Congress is not a factor, effort is not necessary, even during an election time, for the BJP, topmost BJP leader to talk about the opposition party. So he just ignored. He did not mention the Congress party at all.
He did not mention many things other than that. I think, Wasbir, it will be very wishful thinking that to write off Congress at least in Manipur, because in Manipur we still stand as the strongest opposition even today. We have very big stalwarts even in the Congress who have not left the party. We are still with the party, and it is, of course, it is just a matter of another maybe 70, 80 days to 2 months from now that you will see the verdict very clearly. But the larger issue, as I said, this whole concept of keeping the country, or maybe keeping the Northeast totally oppositionless. It was under one party rule, which is very disturbing. This is the disturbing trend. It's a very pluralistic society.
Tell me one thing, that who makes
This
a strong opposition?
this is the challenge to
A
my
strong
mind.
opposition
It is
can
not
only
important
come if,
whether
people decide to
Congress
elect
MLAs
an
have left,
opposition.
BJP.
If you don't have people
No,
don't want
it is
an
not.
opposition to be elected to form a strong opposition, and see the mood today of the
Absolutely.
nation is that the people, even in your very Manipur, I was there a few days ago. The mood of the people now is that they are definitely wanting BJP, because they are seeing prospects at the Prime Minister's personal intervention in the development projects that is happening in Northeast. They have seen that Congress, although had talked about the Northeast, didn't really do anything much other than doing much of lip service. In spite of having a Prime Minister from Assam for so many years, I don't think Dr. Manmohan Singh can say that I have left this major project behind in the Northeast as a symbol of my being elected from this region.
I think the debate is going elsewhere. I think this is not a report card, this is not a session where
what
we are
I am
going to
saying
discuss
is
the report
what
card
the
of Modi.
issue- So that is not the issue.
With due
What
regards,
the people want is that I think
you are
all
totally,
other parties,
going off the thing.
we are trying
If you're going to write off 15 if you're going to write off 15 years of our work with just 4.5 years of your work, I think that will be very wishful thinking. I think Modi
No,
has
you
not,
have-
Modi has not done
I have
that.
very
the
little time.
confidence of the people in that.
One statement.
Netra.
One statement.
Yeah.
One statement. You see, I don't think that when BJP is on a full-scale offensive and when TMC is emerging as a possible alternative and making inroads slowly, mere philosophizing, self-praise, and depending upon our past glory can help my friends. You
Okay,
have to do something more than that.
Netraranjan Chaudhary, you had two MLAs have already joined the BJP. Now, in the last elections, okay, Netraranjan, we have lost a line to Netraranjan Chaudhary. Let me ask this question. Let me take this question to Ms. Amprin Lingdo, who is back with us. Amprin, I'm very little time left. It's not just the state level leaders. Recently we have seen in Garo Hills, several of the Congress leaders have gone and joined the TMC. Now, if you say that this is an aberration, as your colleague from Manipur, Mr. Hemachandra Singh, is saying this is an aberration. So, is it remaining on a denial mode? Will it help revive your party? Because you are forcefully arguing the fact from a long time now that don't wish away the Congress, which nobody should actually. Nobody can and nobody should. But what is the ground reality?
One thing, it is one thing to claim that everybody is leaving the Congress in the Garo Hills region and gravitating towards the TMC, but that's not a fact either. We shouldn't forget one thing, that in 2018, we came up with 21 members. And that win was a very, very commendable win for the East Khasi Hills, West Khasi Hills, and Reboy region. If only we had had the numbers that were promised and that were told were available or will be made available post-elections 2018, we would have been in government.
Right.
So let me tell you one thing. It is not true that everybody or every supporter of the Congress has deserted the Congress.
Absolutely. Nobody is saying that. That is not correct.
We are not
Yes.
in denial.
I agree with you.
We know that right now all of us are vulnerable. We know that we are all vulnerable, and that is why we are strategizing ourselves.
Yeah, that is the big question. Why are you... No, Miss Amprin Lingdo, I am running absolutely short of time. The question of which we will leave it to the viewers actually is, why are the Congress leaders and legislators vulnerable? That is the big question. Netraranjan Chaudhary, why are your party leaders vulnerable? 30 seconds to you.
Well, definitely BJP is in power and they are resorting with a very unique poaching tactics, applying all sorts of dirty tactics of bribery, threats, friendly governments. We already seen what happened in Meghalaya in 2018 when mandate was clearly not in favor of BJP, only 2 seats, still they could form the government, and moreover BJP is having a trishul. ED, CBI, IT, all forms, they are only resorting to one way to demolish and demoralize and finish off the opposition.
Okay, you once again,
But
it's
then-
quite
30
lame.
seconds
I will allow you to conclude.
I want to tell you that every time they resort to these tactics, we will be more motivated and we will come back very strong and we will raise their issues, corruptions, to sign all issues more right.
Please, Wasbir, please
The
don't write the
tactics-
obituary of the Congress yet. We'll come back.
Hemchandra, nobody is
Nobody is writing off.
We want Congress to be strengthened in the interest of democracy. But
Nobody-
the fact
no,
that you have been highlighting all the time that these practices have been
Doctor,
perfected, adopted
final
by BJP.
comments.
Yeah.
Final comments, Dr. Kharluki. I am running absolutely
good
short
for
of time.
democracy.
Dr. Kharluki, final comments. I have absolutely...
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Wasbir, final comment. I will let you down memory lane. 1984 election, general election. Congress won more than 400 plus. BJP won only 2 MPs. But the BJP played their role in such a way in politics that in 1989, by backing VP Singh, they got 95 MP again. And from there onward is no turning back. What the Congress need to do now is to learn the trick of the BJP.
Whether to learn the
New
trick of the BJP or
New
not
alignments, new
is
alignments.
left to be seen. New
Wasbir,
alignments.
allow me
Amperin Lingdo
will
and
reinvent
Hemachandra Singh.
ourselves.
There is a strong tips from the NPP president saying that you have to look for new
Very well
alignments.
taken, very well taken.
New alignments.
Very
New
well
alignments
taken.
is the need of the hour.
Wasbir, in the
Yes.
interest of democracy, I think Congress and all other political parties who are in opposition, they need to find a vaccine which will work
I'm
against the
absolutely
poaching culture
right,
of
right.
the ruling
Absolutely,
party. That
absolutely.
vaccine needs to be
Abs-
invented.
absolutely.
Then only
But-
parties can reinvent themselves and make
Okay,
them relevant
parties,
to people.
but the parties need to reinvent themselves. That they are very capable. The political parties are very capable of reinventing themselves. We don't want to wish away. We don't want to write the obituaries of any political party for that matter. But the fact remains that the Congress is on the back foot to a great extent. But yes, nobody knows what happens in elections. Elections are elections where I always say the voter is the king. We'll have to wait and watch. There are very interesting times ahead in the northeastern region. The elections in Manipur are just about 2 months away. Then we'll have the elections in Tripura, Meghalaya, and so on. And these will be interesting times. Of course, if the COVID situation remains under control, stay safe. Don't violate the COVID protocols. I thank all my panelists for participating in the program and the viewers for watching the show. Good night and goodbye.